Muckwa, or The Bear, by Margaret Fuller. Read by Frank Blissett. A young Indian who lived a great while ago, when he was quite young, killed a bear, and the tribe from that circumstance called him Muckwa. As he grew up, he became an expert hunter, and his favorite game was the bear, many of which he killed. One day he started off to a river far remote from the lodges of his tribe, and where berries and grapes were very plenty, in pursuit of bears. He hunted all day, but found nothing, and just at night he came to some lodges which he thought to be those of some of his tribe. He approached the largest of them, lifted the curtain at its entrance, and went in, when he perceived the inmates to be bears, who were seated around the fire smoking. He said nothing, but seated himself also, and smoked the pipe which they offered him in silence. An old gray bear, who was the chief, ordered supper to be brought for him, and after he had eaten it, addressed him as follows: "My son, I am glad to see you come among us in a friendly manner. You have been a great hunter, and all the she-bears of our tribe tremble when they hear your name. But cease to trouble us, and come and live with me. We have a very pleasant life, living upon the fruits of the earth. And in the winter, instead of being obliged to hunt and travel through the deep snow, we sleep soundly until the sun unchains the streams and makes the tender buds put forth for our subsistence. I will give you my daughter for a wife, and we will live happily together." Muckwa was inclined to accept the old bear's offer, but when he saw the daughter, who came and took off his wet moccasins and gave him dry ones, he thought that he had never seen an Indian woman so beautiful. He accepted the offer of the chief of the bears, and lived with his wife very happily for some time. He had by her 2 sons, one of whom was like an Indian, and the other like a bear. When the bear child was oppressed with heat, his mother would take him into the deep, cool caves, while the Indian child would shiver with cold and cry after her in vain. As the autumn advanced, the bears began to go out in search of acorns, and then the she-bear said to Muckwa, "Stay at home here and watch our house, while I go to gather some nuts." She departed, and was gone for some days with her people. By and by, Muckwa became tired of staying at home, and thought that he would go off to a distance and resume his favorite bear hunting. He accordingly started off, and at last came to a grove of lofty oaks, which were full of large acorns. He found signs of bear, and soon espied a fat she-bear on the top of a tree. He shot at her with a good aim, and she fell, pierced by his unerring arrow. He went up to her, and found it was his sister-in-law, who reproached him with his cruelty, and told him to return to his own people. Muckwa returned quietly home, and pretended not to have left his lodge. However, the old chief understood, and was disposed to kill him in revenge. But his wife found means to avert her father's anger. The winter season now coming on, Muckwa prepared to accompany his wife into winter quarters. They selected a large tamarack tree, which was hollow, and lived there comfortably until a party of hunters discovered their retreat. The she-bear told Muckwa to remain quietly in the tree, and that she would decoy off the hunters. She came out of the hollow, jumped from a bough of the tree, and escaped unharmed, although the hunters shot after her. Some time after, she returned to the tree, and told Muckwa that he had better go back to his own people. "Since you have lived among us," said she, "we have nothing but ill fortune. You have killed my sister, and now your friends have followed your footsteps to our retreats to kill us. The Indian and the bear cannot live in the same lodge, for the Master of Life has appointed for them different habitations." So Muckwa returned with his son to his own people, but he never after would shoot a she-bear for fear that he should kill his wife. That was Muckwa, or The Bear, by Margaret Fuller. Read by Frank Blissett.